Novak Djokovic has won his first match of Wimbledon so far this year, and he moves on to the second round in London. This was not a straightforward match at all, and it shows how odd and how hard it is for players, even the best players, to get acclaimed and accustomed to a new tournament, first and foremost, and a new surface. It's always going to be difficult. We saw the same thing happen to Carlos Alcaraz yesterday, but for his was for similar but also different reasons. Both today, Monday and Tuesday, were super hot in London. Insanely hot, 90 plus degrees, like 32, 33 plus degrees Celsius. It was scorching, one of the hottest days you'll see at Wimbledon because, as we know, London usually just doesn't get that hot. You know, I mean, I think for the rest of the tournament, it's going to be like mid-70s-ish, you know, like 22, 23 degrees. So much cooler. The temperature won't be as much of a factor. The sun won't be as much of an issue. We saw Djokovic icing his head several times. And he was also hinting at his side, like holding his chest and his abdomen area. Clearly, he's physically hampered in one way or another. I guess for someone like Novak, this seems to be something that's happening way more as he gets older. Just small physical issues that he has to fight through during specific tennis tournaments and especially Grand Slam tournaments where he has to play best 3 out of 5 sets. But nevertheless, he won. He didn't need to be at his best today at all. That's one of the best things about these early rounds for the best players. You don't need to be at your best because even 70% of how good you are is still good enough to beat almost every opponent in the first round, and that's what he did. Look, the first set was exactly what we expected from Novak. 6-1, he blitzed through him. Alexander Muller was lucky to win the first game. I think Djokovic had a couple of chances to break him. He didn't. Okay, Alexander Muller won it. Bang, 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 bang. Djokovic wins the last 6 games and then destroys him for the rest of the set. But then set 2 was close. Djokovic, I think, had 11 break points in the second set and couldn't convert a single one. So huge congratulations to Muller. Huge respects to Muller, I should say. I can't congratulate him because he didn't win. But huge respects to him for just being as resilient as he was through all that. And that's a big deal, if you ask me, because he could have just faltered, wavered, said, you know, I don't really care, kind of thing. But he just kept pulsating through. And this just shows the kind of experience that he has and the value that experience wins. For you to be 35 years old and a qualifier for major Grand Slams still, but still persevere and still want to get as far as you possibly can, you have to respect that. And he saved every single break point. Djokovic had a couple, or at least 3 set points, I think, throughout the second set, and had several chances during the tiebreak, was up 5-2 in the tiebreak, and somehow let the tiebreak slip through his fingers. Another thing I've been noticing with Djokovic as he's gotten older is he's not the over-reliant, dominant force that he used to be in tiebreaks. It used to be, if you got Djokovic in tiebreak, sayonara, you lost that set. But now he's losing more and more tiebreaks that we see. You know, when he lost the Masters 1000 in Shanghai to Jannik Sinner in the final, he lost 2 straight tiebreaks. When he lost to Lehechka in Miami in the final, he lost 2 tiebreaks in a row. These seem to be happening a little bit more often as Djokovic is getting older. But nevertheless, lost that tiebreak, and then he just locked in 6-2, 6-2 in the final 2 sets. He had a little medical timeout. Maybe that was necessary. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Maybe it was just a temporary hampering, but it looks like Djokovic will be okay. But some of the stats for the match: 22 aces by Novak. He was serving very well, didn't get broken a single time. I think he only faced 3 break points throughout the entire match, and I think all of them came in the last set. I don't believe he even faced a break point in the first 3 sets. He had 27 break point opportunities himself. Converted 7 of them, yes, but you're surprised that he didn't convert a few more of them, especially in the second set, which he ultimately lost. That was really the decider then and there. 11 breakpoint chances, and they all slipped through your fingers. Djokovic had 22 aces. Like I said, he was serving extremely well. Only 1 double fault to also, you know, bring that in. And I think that was towards the end. I think that was when he had match points, if I'm not mistaken. 70% on his first serves. So, like I said, he was serving very well. He just let, you know, a couple of breakpoint chances go by him. And for Novak, he said that he believes that this is his best chance to win another slam, because you know he wants another slam. He wants to get a 20 to 25, a quarter century. He wants to be undisputedly the person with the most slams, because they keep bringing up Margaret Court, but I don't like including Margaret Court in that conversation just because she played in a completely different era of tennis. She played in an open era where it was almost all players from that particular country and then a few of the best players from other countries, but it wasn't as open as broad as it is now. So I just don't think you compare a Margaret Court to a Novak Djokovic in terms of dominance and winning as many slams as they have. But regardless, she has 24 slams the same way Novak does. You know he would like to get a 25. It's a nice solid round number. It would make him undisputed on that list, and it would be a great way to end his career. We obviously saw that he hinted at potentially retiring at Roland Garros in 2025. Not that he was going to retire there, but maybe this is the last time he ever plays in Paris. And we still don't fully know the answer to that. I would love to see him continue, but maybe he's just thought, you know what? Clearly, I'm not the player that I used to be. And maybe it's time for me to just call it and be like, you know what? This ain't working. Maybe it's time for me to move on. I say this ain't working. It's a little bit more like I've accomplished everything in this sport. And maybe some of the guys like Alcaraz and Sinner, maybe in like early 2024, they were just in front of me. Now they're way past me. And it just doesn't look like I'll be able to compete with those guys for another slam. Who knows? Only he knows the answer to that. But he believes that Wimbledon is his best chance. Grass is a completely different surface than clay. Clay is such a physical surface. That's why super athletic guys like Alcaraz and Sinner are probably going to dominate on clay for the foreseeable future, especially Alcaraz, because he's athletic as we've ever seen in the sport, especially for a guy that young. So grass is a much more forgiving surface that you would probably say not as fast as the hard courts, and especially clay, which is just, you know, like so physical and so eerie on the legs. So you have to favor Djokovic's chances more here. He's been in the last 6 Wimbledon finals. You know, won 4 and then lost 2 finals to Alcaraz. 2023 was an epic. 2022, he handled them solidly, you'd have to say. So Djokovic feels like this is his best chance, and it is probably his best chance because I favor Jannik heavily in the U.S. Open in the fall. But for this, Djokovic, it's in your hands. And who knows? His next match is against Dan Evans. He's played a few matches against Dan Evans. He's a decent player, but Djokovic, you favor Djokovic to win until he places one of those big guys. One of them just got eliminated today, Alexander Zverev, in 5 sets in a match that had to be continued from yesterday because of the Wimbledon's curfew. But with Zverev being eliminated now, who knows? Who knows? I mean, you never know. Zverev's being eliminated. I talked about Medvedev and Tsitsipas being eliminated. So many tennis players, great players who have been playing at ATP finals, who have won slams, like Medvedev has won a slam, who have been in slam finals, who have won several Masters 1000s. They're not looking too consistent right now. And it honestly makes you so appreciate a player like Novak, who has not lost in the first round of a major since 2006, in 19 years. And he was a kid. He was like 18, 19 when that happened, and he's not lost in the first round of a major during that entire time. And some of these guys who are some of the best players in the world over the past 5-6 years are losing in first rounds of majors. At least one does every year. I forgot to mention Holger Rune did too. Holger Rune, Tsitsipas, Daniil Medvedev. All 3 of those guys played in the ATP finals 2 years ago. 3 of the top 8 players in the world, along with guys like Djokovic and Sinner and Alcaraz and Zverev and Rublev. I think I named them all. And they got eliminated in the first round. You just knew, no matter what, come hell or high water, unless he is seriously injured, Djokovic ain't losing in the first round. He's just that kind of player. He's not losing in the first round on this surface, in this tournament, which is his favorite in the sport. So let's see what happens against Dan Evans. There's a lot that happened today. I'll talk about Coco Gauff later, losing in a huge upset. But Novak Djokovic does what he needs to do. Didn't need to be at his best, but he did it. And let's see what he does against Dan Evans, because that'll be a great match to watch as well.